Okay, here we go. Man. Hello and welcome into the Knicks-Verse. My name is George, and if this is your first time here or you've been here before but haven't subscribed yet, please do so, along with hitting that thumbs up button for me and dropping your comments. Definitely want to hear your thoughts and feelings about anything Knicks, especially what is happening of late. The New York Knicks just suffered their first three-game losing streak. That's right, they lost to the Orlando Magic at home, 103-94. Karl Anthony Towns did not play. He sat with right knee pain, which we saw occurred during the very end of the game in Chicago, when it was basically the game was over by that point. Knicks were trying to pull off a miracle. Also, no Deuce once again. So we did see some bench players tonight. But once again, the actual mix of rotation is a problem. And it was none more evident than tonight. It's none more evident than what's been happening of late. I have some interesting stats to show you about the correlation between the minutes played by the starters and their actual overall efficiency. Especially of late, the three-point shooting has completely disappeared. And not just this team, but any team that seriously wants to win in today's NBA has to hit their threes. In the past 8 games, the Knicks are an NBA worst 29.4% from the three-point line, which is shocking when you consider they were once the best in the NBA not that long ago. And why has that happened? Well, we'll get into that. Let's keep going. Here we go, 103-94. The high scorer for the team was Mikal Bridges, who came through with 26 points, 24 points. Actually, Mikal was 24, and Jalen Brunson also had 24 points. Brunson did struggle tonight. He struggled with the length that they put on him defensively. Now, let's just be very clear. Orlando is missing their top 4 scorers. They haven't had Paolo Banchero since Game 5, and they've been missing Franz Wagner for over a month. And yet, they are right there behind us in the standings. Look at that. They have just 2 wins less than the New York Knicks. And the thing is, they're also impressive on the road. They actually do decently on the road, which they took care of business tonight at MSG. They were unfazed whatsoever. In fact, of the 5, actually all the players that played tonight, no player was averaging double figures for the season. That should tell you a few things about their defense. They have the second best rated defense in the NBA after OKC. And right now, it doesn't matter who's in there. They top to bottom, they all play hard-nosed defense. It was like a street fight out there, and the Knicks just did not have the energy to match it. Thibs himself said they came out with low energy and never quite recaptured it. There were some moments there in that third quarter, I think early fourth quarter, I can't remember exactly when it was, where they showed signs of life. And in fact, there was one moment there where they caused a turnover, and they could have cut the deficit down to 3, and instead coughed the ball up in the paint, came down the other end. Actually, I think this was more earlier in the game, and Isaac buried a corner 3, and then boom, so it went up to 8 points deficit. So, I mean, I'm losing words for how to describe my frustration with the way Thibs has been handling his rotation. And the reason I was banging the drum like a month and a half ago about this is because of what just happened tonight and what just happened in Chicago. Also, bear in mind, yes, Chicago was our second game of a back-to-back. Tonight was Orlando's second game of a back-to-back. That's right. Now, they played at home last night, but had to fly up to New York for tonight. We had to fly from OKC to Chicago, and Chicago's a tough place to fly into. So there is that, but still, I mean, and we have Jalen Brunson, who is one of the top 10 scorers in the NBA. So I don't understand people who are making excuses That's what I don't understand. Now, to put a positive spin on this situation, it's January. We didn't do a big trade, like we did last year, and we just sent a jolt through the whole roster, the whole organization, and the Knicks went on an amazing, legendary January run. The Jan Knicks, 14-2. They were outstanding, but that did culminate with 2 key injuries by the end of that month to OG Anunoby and Julius Randle, and he never played another game again as a New York Knick. OG did make it back for the playoffs, but then got hurt again. And ended up getting, I think he did get surgery in that shoulder. I think so. Oh, no, it was the elbow. Sorry about that. Yeah, he had a bone spur. He had a bone spur in his elbow. Man. So, but let's go back to this, because Ian really captured it all right here in his tweet. Strong candidate for worst loss of the year as Knicks fall at home to a Magic team without 3 key starters, Paolo Banchero, Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner. Knicks who were without Karl Anthony Towns and Miles McBride have dropped 3 straight. New York took just 22 threes and missed 18 of them. Now, they started off the game hitting 3 out of 6 from the three-point line, and then 0 for 15. The last bucket, the 4th one they made, was just something that Campaign shot up right before the buzzer sounded for the shot clock, at the end in garbage time. It was just basically just heaved it up and it went through. Or else they would have just finished, completely with goose eggs from the three-point line. And the reason that is so important is because this team is structured to compete with the Boston Celtics of the world. Teams that have outstanding three-point shooting, who are able to drive and kick it out, and who are also amazing defensive teams, which the Celtics are a very good defensive team. Now, they're not as good as the 2 teams we just faced, OKC and Orlando. The Bulls were terrible. Bulls were terrible defensively. And yet we still lost to them because our defense was really lagging in that game. Let me show you this. This is something that I was putting together today, and I was trying to break it down. So the column, I probably should have put the minutes up first there. The minutes is the 4th column from the right after the ratings, the offensive rating, defensive rating, net rating. Now, those minutes are just for the starters. See the asterisks there? Those are the starters' minutes. In the first 15 games of this season, the starters averaged 35.8 minutes per game. That is a lot. That is a lot of minutes for the starters. Then, from games 16 to 22, the next 7 games, they still continue to average 35.8 minutes per game. And then I started really banging that drum, saying, hey, this is getting out of control. This is too many minutes. During that period of time, the New York Knicks defense did improve. It went from a 115.6 defensive rating in those first 15 games. Because remember, that was it was a brand new starting unit, 40% new players, Cat and Bridges. Bridges had to figure himself out. Josh Hart, remember, he came off the preseason wondering if he should even start at all. So they had to figure out a lot of things. So those first 15 games or so were the Knicks trying to figure out, mostly defensively, because the offense was there. They were cooking. The best offensive rating of the whole year so far was those first 15 games. They had a 122.1 offensive rating, and I believe that was the best in the NBA at the time. Now, when you look at their net rating, it was only a 6.5, which is still good. Still very good, but you want to be double digits. They want to be as close to double digits as possible if you want to be a true contender. Now, maybe that kind of performance got me thinking about them becoming I did believe that they're a true contender. I do believe that they are a true contender, which is why I'm holding them to such a high standard here. This is not about, hey, let's feel good about how, having a nice run. No. I'm done with that. I seriously, I'm done with that. I want a championship team here in New York. If we lose, we lose in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. That's how I want these Knicks to be eliminated. If they do even get eliminated, I don't want them to be eliminated. I want it to be the other way around. I want the Knicks to have that parade. Now, for that to happen, certain things have to happen. Are there enough ingredients on this team to make it happen? I believe there are, but obviously our coach does not. Thibs does not believe in the bench. He keeps reverting back to his old ways of overplaying players. And I hear the argument. Everyone makes the argument. Oh, but these are professionals. They get paid millions of dollars. Nobody worries about me working 8 hours a day and all this stuff. And it's like, look, you know what? It doesn't work that way. You need to be able to pace yourself. It's all part of the formula here. Because one thing I want you guys to focus on here is the opponent's field goal percentage and three-point percentage. It's not so much about what we do on the offensive end. It's what happens to us on the defensive end. Because defensive end is all about effort. It is about execution. It is about communication. It is about being on a string together, but it's about effort. And the most important ingredient with effort is stamina. That's right. It's stamina. So, yes, you may rest your starters and it may cost you some points. It may even cost you a game here and there. But in the long run, you keep your starters as fresh as possible. So when it comes down to actually defending on their end, they have the energy to do so. Look what happened here. Offensive field goal percentage and three-point field goal percentage are right here. Actually, let me pull this up here for you guys so you guys can really see. So right here, this part right here. That's offensive field goal percentage and opponent field goal percentage and opponent three-point percentage. The first 15 games, opponents were shooting almost 40% against us. Then in the next 7 games after that, games 16 to 22, it dropped to 36%. Then it started ticking up because these minutes started piling up. Now, there was a slight dip in minutes per game here in the following 7 games, and the opponent's three-point percentage went up to 37.7%. But now, in the last 7 games, this does not include tonight's game. In the last 7 games, opponents are shooting almost 40% from the three-point line against us. Why is that? Because we're not closing out. The legs don't have the steam in them to get out, run out to the three-point line, to get over, to fight over those screens. They just don't have it right now. And why don't they have it? Well, look over here. 38.5 minutes per game. They're currently averaging 38.6 minutes per game right now. These in the last last 7 games. Actually, the year is 38.5%. 38.5 minutes per game. So as the minutes ticked up, back up for the starters, the opponent three-point percentage also ticked up, and also did the overall field goal percentage. The opponent's points per game is at 113.7 in the last 7 games, which is the highest it's been all season. You see where I'm going with this? Our bench barely plays, so you have to blame all this on the starters, which you can't blame it on the starters because it's not their fault that they're out there for 40 minutes sometimes, or they play 35 minutes straight, which is what happened to Mikal Bridges recently. Have you guys? I mean, I know when I used to play tennis, man, and I played like a grueling match, like a 5-set match or something like that, man, I was cooked the next day. And I was never, a top-notch athlete, so of course I'm going to be cooked. But even top-notch athletes, they cannot handle that punishment every single time they're out there on the court. They need to have those minutes managed to keep them as fresh as possible, which is why you go 8 deep, 9 deep, not just 8 deep, 9 deep, 10 deep, maybe even 11 deep. The inverse response that could happen to that is once you do that, then you don't have guys out there looking lost. The bench players, other than Deuce and Cam, have not really been delivering for the Knicks. It's just the reality. But the 2 that have been delivering for the Knicks are the ones that are actually getting minutes. And that's just a matter of trust on Thibodeau's end. Thibs has to fight his instinct of just sticking with the starters because of the dynamics of the current game, because this is a long season. And if you're going to fry these guys now, get ready for more fourth quarter collapses as we continue into this season. It's just the reality of the minutes. Now, interestingly, the points per game, In the last 7 games, the Knicks have been almost averaging 120 points per game, which is fabulous. But when you look at the net rating, they are now currently at their lowest net rating of the season. And tonight, they lost their 3rd game in a row. It's like just layers upon layers upon layers. You look, you put a towel over 2 arms. Okay, you put 2, 3, you put 20 towels over 2 arms. It starts getting pretty heavy then. That's how you got to think about this minutes load itself. And other than the All-Star break, there's not much coming up in the schedule that's going to be easy for them. And in fact, the New York Knicks have played the softest schedule up until this point, and they now projecting into the future, they will play this. They have the strongest schedule. Remaining schedule, meaning the teams they're playing are all like, they're all, most of them are winning teams, especially now coming up. Not most of them, but they're going to be facing more winning teams now moving forward than they have in the past. So the schedule is just going to get tougher. Look, we play Toronto on Wednesday. We do well against them. Hopefully we'll pull that one off, regardless whether Cat plays or not. But on Friday we have OKC. We definitely hope we need to have Cat back for that. There's just not much time for these guys to catch their breath unless Thibs starts shifting the minutes around. All right, let's get back to this. Is there anything else to show you here? Oh, yeah, this is another really important thing to show you. There it is. Our three-point shooting. So I started off by talking about the opponent's three-point shooting. Our three-point shooting. We are shooting almost 9% less in three-point shooting makes than our opponent now. We're at a season low 30.5, which is the lowest in the NBA. Actually, overall, because now I included tonight's game, the last 8 games, we're at 29.4%, which is the worst in the NBA. All right, let's get back to this here. What thing I wanted to show you here. Okay, so I show you this. Here's the standings. Boston, man, we were just a half game behind them. Now we are 2.5 games behind them. 8 behind Cleveland. And Orlando is just 2.5 games behind us. That's right, a team missing their top 3 scorers tonight. And when you include Gary Harris, I mean, their top 4 double-digit scorers. And we couldn't beat them tonight. Now, there's going to be nights like this. So, individually as a game, when you look at it just as a game, there's nights where your guys just don't have it. They have low energy. They don't execute well. And then when they're missing a key player, I mean, Cat scored 40-something points against the Bulls, and it was wasted. That's a lot of points to be missing. He's also the top rebounder in the NBA, or number 2 behind Sabonis. So, that's a big hole to make up. Sims is not going to make that up. Either is Precious or Hakporti didn't even see any time. But why didn't Hakporti see any time? Just keep going. Here we go. Here's the box score. So, no Matt Ryan, no Hakporti, no Kolek. Dottie is not even listed up here. I'm not even sure he was actually on the bench, which he should have been made available for sure. This guy Dottie should be getting minutes. He should have gotten minutes in the Bulls game. He should have gotten minutes in the OKC game. There is no reason why that guy cannot be getting minutes on this team. He's a good defender, and he can hit the 3-point shot, and he can get to the hoop, and he's young. More floor time, he's just going to keep getting better and improve and create some chemistry with his fellow players. But, sometimes he'll just throw him out there and say, okay, see what he's got. Well, why? How come Tyler Kolek got 0 time tonight? 0. And Hakporti as well. We could have really used their energy. And Matt Ryan, get him out there. He guy can shoot threes. That's one reason that we have him on this team. Maybe he hits 1 or 2 threes and it starts making the other players relax, and then they hit their buckets. Mikal Bridges was 1 of 7 from the 3-point line, but he was 10 of 20 overall. Without him, this could have been a total blowout without him. It got pretty close to a 9-point deficit, but this game was pretty close for most of the time. His 24 points, he got 5 rebounds, 2 assists. OG Anunoby, who I believe is the one who is struggling the most of late with this minutes load, and maybe his elbow's barking a little bit. We don't know. I don't know, but he does not look right on the offensive end. And on the defensive end, I mean, he struggled against the Bulls. He did. And tonight, I think he struggled against tonight as well. Look, only 9 points for him, 0 for 3 from the three-point line, only 4 rebounds. He did pick up 3 assists, which is awesome in his 35 minutes of play. But look at Mikal Bridges, 42 minutes for him. OG Anunoby, 35 for him. Jericho Sims played 29 minutes, got 10 rebounds, 4 points. But the guy just offensively, he just looks lost. He just really doesn't know what to do when he gets the ball. Oftentimes, he just looks lost to the point where the MSG crowd were like yelling, shoot, look at the rim. And even Clyde called him out on it during the broadcast. Brunson, very poor game for him. 24 points, 21 field goal attempts. They only attempted 1 3-point shot and 1 rebound, 4 assists. When has Brunson attempted only 1 3-point shot? Many times he would pull up and then he'd try to do the fake and then drive around the defender. I wish he would just pull up and just let it fly. He is a fantastic off the dribble pull up shooter, especially a 3-point shooter. I know his 3-point shot has been drifting of late, and you saw why. The minutes has just been too much for them. Let me fix this here. Too much for him as well, but in his 36 minutes, those 24 points were very labored 24 points. Josh Hart, he had a double-double, 15 points and 4 rebounds for him. Only took 9 shots, 1 of 3 from the 3-point line, 2 dimes for him. The Knicks as a team only had, here it says 16 assists. I've seen 18 in the other, but 16 assists, that's terrible. That's atrocious. They shot only 18.2% from the 3-point line, 44.4% overall. Precious Achiuwa, even though he has 10 points here, 5 of 6, when you look at this box score, it looks good. To me, I hate to phrase it like this, but he just does not look like a high basketball IQ player. He makes so many mistakes when he's out there. It's kind of a tragedy sometimes because he has so much ability, but yet he just doesn't. It's almost like he doesn't connect the dots. He expects them to connect themselves. Campaign 8 points. Landry Shamet, he struggled tonight offensively. Only got 3 field goal attempts in his 21 minutes of play. 0 points. He did, though. I thought defensively he looked decent at times. Let's get to these plus minus because this will show you what I'm talking about with Precious. Look at Precious. Yeah, he got 10 points. Only the 4th guy with double figures. He was a minus 14. Minus 14. When he's on the court, we lose. We're a losing team when he's on the court. So then you're saying, hey, that's why Thibs doesn't play the bench. Yeah, that's the issue we got. There is that issue as well. But come on, man. A lot of times he's sharing those minutes with other players that are already cooked. And yet, so his mistakes are getting compounded. And he only picked up 2 rebounds. Only two rebounds for a guy who played 22 minutes. He is a power forward. 2 rebounds? That is atrocious, man. That is truly atrocious. Knicks only had 4 steals, 3 blocks. When you look at Orlando Magic's stat line, they went 10 deep. Now, they did play last night, but we know that's not always the reason. It's not a good enough excuse for good enough reason for Thibs. Let me put it that way. Jonathan Isaac came off the bench in his 25 minutes, 13 points for him, 19 points for Wendell Carter Jr. He hit all 3 of his 3-point attempts. Those guys are not. This team is a terrible 3-point shooting team. I think they're one of the worst or the second worst in the NBA. Tonight they shot 35.5% on 31 attempts. They kept putting them up. They got off to a poor start. I think they were 0 for 5 at first. They finished 50% overall. Excuse me. Cole Anthony was 3 of 6. He was the high man, 24 points for Orlando. And Caldwell Pope, this may have fixed his season because he has not been looking good of late. But in his 30 minutes of play tonight, he picked up 15 points, shot 3 of 6 from the 3-point line, 6 of 10 overall. Let's go to this. Okay, so this is the breakdown here. Here we go. So here's the lead tracker. The Knicks had a little lead there right before the end of the half. That's it. And then it was all Magic. They fought back towards the end of that third quarter. At least chop the lead down to, I think that's where it was down to 2 or 3, and then it quickly ballooned up to 10 within a matter of minutes. And that was 3-point shots. Those were 3. And I think that was the Isaac 3-pointer and a Wendell Carter 3-pointer, maybe even a Cole Anthony 3-pointer. The game was tied 6 times. Longest run was 8, 9 lead changes. When you look here, Knicks won the points in the paint battle, 58-48. So we were plus 10 there. But we were a -5 in second chance points, a -1 in fast break points. Not enough fast break points for the Knicks. But really, it comes down to this 3-point shooting right here, this 18.2% on only 22 attempts. My feeling is you cannot deviate from your game plan too much if your team is structured to play and win in a certain way. And when you are not, we should be averaging 36 to 40 3-point attempts per game. So when you're down at 22, 14 less, that's going to severely impact. What if those 14 shots actually become 6 makes? Fantastic. It's better than what we got inside the arc as well. So we were only 44.4% overall. Man, 16 assists is really dismal. This is. I don't think it was the worst loss. I still think the loss in Utah was the worst loss of the season. But this one is pretty much it's competing up there for worst loss for sure. The Knicks in the fourth quarter. Here we go. They did make a little bit of a comeback here in the fourth quarter, but only 1 for 4 from the 3-point line. They did get to the free throw line 10 times, but so did they. The third quarter was the quarter of doom. I think the Knicks only scored 17 points in that third quarter. Yeah, 17 points in the third quarter. And OG plays 10 minutes. Josh Hart, 10 minutes. Jericho, all 12. McCall, all 12. Brunson, 9. Look at this. And then what do you have in the fourth quarter? You had nothing left in the fourth quarter. Now, these guys are going to have to figure this out because Thibs is not going to change. And I don't believe that Leon is going to make a move. I know everyone's like screaming on social media, you know, we got to fire this guy, Not everyone, but there's a drum beat out there. He's not going to get fired. And I actually don't think it would be the smart move right now. Unless we had, like, let's say Johnny Bryant was still, you know, the associate coach, then you can let Thibs go. And, you know, you have some sense of synergy, but then you also have familiarity and the players trust Johnny Bryant. Now it would just be too much of a jolt because this team, even with Thibs as the coach, even coaching the way he has been coaching, can still win it all. That is my opinion on that. Though, it will require Thibs to adjust the minutes allocation for the starters. Sounds like a broken record. Well, that's because it keeps happening. The needle keeps skipping. All right, thank you so much for watching this. Again, my name is George. Please subscribe, hit the thumbs up button for me, drop your comments, and I will see you around the Knicks-Verse.